Hi everyone, my name is Abel Mkulama, and today I'm going to be sharing my Capstone journey and my vision for a deforestation-free cooking technologies business in my home country of Malawi. This presentation is based on my second year project for my Master of Science in Coastal Science and Policy at the University of California, Santa Cruz. Think about the processes you go through when cooking a meal at home. How long does it take and what kind of technologies do you use? See, cooking is such a vital activity for us all. And yet for most households in developing countries, cooking is such a huge chore that not only poses danger to people's lives, it negatively impacts their major aspects of their lives and the environment. Currently, more than 4 billion people lack access to modern cooking energy methods. This means that more than half the global population lacks the ability to cook conveniently, reliably, safely, and affordably. This also means that we're off track from achieving the 2030 target of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal of ensuring universal access to affordable, reliable, and clean cooking. My Capstone project was therefore motivated by the need for clean cooking in Malawi. And I focused my initial work in Lilongwe, which is the capital city. The majority of Malawians depend on charcoal and firewood as their main source of cooking fuel. Households use charcoal on a traditional jiko stove or firewood on an open three-stone fire. However, the choice of cooking fuel differs based on geographical location. Up to 76% of city and town residents use charcoal, while firewood is more popular in rural areas. This means that the urban demand for charcoal is the main driver of deforestation. The negative impacts of cooking without clean and efficient technologies on the environment and households is worrisome, and here's why. First, as I just mentioned that the demand for charcoal drives deforestation, the picture on the left is one example of a deforested mountainside, and in our mountainous and drought-prone country, this causes flash floods and soil erosion. Secondly, traditional cooking methods such as charcoal stoves and wood on an open fire are a main source of household air pollution. In fact, according to the WHO, household pollution linked to traditional cooking methods causes up to 4 million premature deaths each year. And local studies in Malawi have linked traditional cooking methods to high cases of pneumonia and chronic respiratory diseases. But there's one more worrisome problem with traditional cooking, and that is it perpetuates gender inequalities. Traditional gender roles in Malawi still assign cooking chores to women and girls. This means girls and women experience more impacts of household air pollution. Women and girls also walk long distances to fetch wood, and this makes them more susceptible to rape or physical abuse. On average, a Malawian woman spends up to 5 hours a day doing cooking-related activities. This creates time poverty and limits their contribution to development. So prior to my joining CSP program, I worked with groups of women in Lilongwe to make and promote briquettes from crop waste to replace the use of charcoal and firewood. So I came to the CSP program with the goal of improving the briquette innovation and build a business case around it. My original approach, though, was making briquettes from agricultural waste such as maize stalks and improving their energy density by carbonizing the biomass. But my advisor introduced me to a company that was working on cutting-edge cooking innovations and was ready to scale. So I decided to join Healthy Fire in the summer of 2020. And I'm grateful for that opportunity because I have learned a lot about cooking technologies, and I established collaborations that laid a foundation for implementing a cooking technologies business in Lilongwe. Based in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Healthy Fire manufactures highest quality and performing stoves that with their pellets burns much cleaner and efficiently, preventing indoor air pollution and saving households money and time, as well as protecting the environment by substituting the use of charcoal. Their Quieton stove uses gasification technology that produces biochar as a byproduct of the cooking process. Healthy Fire then buys back the harvested biochar from households and upcycles it into water filters and air filters. Their story was so resilient and relatable that it inspired me to replicate their business model in Malawi. So I pivoted my goals to understanding basic technical, cultural, and economic principles of cooking technologies, and to learn more about cookstoves and fuel pellets designs, as well as carbon market financing, with the aim of developing a business plan for establishing a clean cookstove business of my own. So during the course of my Capstone placement, I gained valuable practical skills through various activities. I participated in setting up and commissioning a cookstove manufacturing line, and I learned how to make pellets and conduct quality assurance testing for cookstoves. I also contributed to preparing grant proposals. And to achieve my Capstone objectives, I first conducted cooking tests of 8 different kinds of stoves and designs using beans, which is a standard meal in Malawi. I did this first in Addis Ababa and later flew to Lilongwe to account for the local environmental conditions. Secondly, I developed a fuel pellet recipe that would use biomass waste available in Lilongwe to meet Malawian cooking requirements. And third, I quantified the particle pollution difference between the traditional stoves and improved Quieton stove. I used these findings to design and build a natural draft pellet stove. The purpose of building the stove was only to help me understand how to bring various categories of cooking functional requirements into the engineering aspect of building a cook stove, a clean cooking product. We made pellets from rice hulls and sawdust, which are the appropriate waste biomass available in abundance in Lilongwe. I then assessed the waste biomass potential and met with sector leaders and cookstove users in Lilongwe. And I found that we have access to over 5,000 kilograms of waste biomass from wood shops and over 1 ton of rice hulls per day, which is more than what we need to launch a pilot and scale. Towards the end of my Capstone placement, I collaborated with my practitioner mentor to develop a business plan for implementing in Malawi. And this plan involves me importing a Healthy Fire stove from Ethiopia to sell in Malawi, but make the pellets locally. And to that end, I acquired land in Lilongwe, and I've developed plans for constructing a cookstove distribution center and a pellet factory. To summarize, my Capstone accomplishments were that I designed a clean stove, developed a recipe for pellets from rice hulls and sawdust, and developed a business plan and drafted blueprints for a pellet factory in Lilongwe. And my next steps are to explore financing mechanisms for purchasing pelletizing equipment and launching a pilot with 300 stoves in 300 households in the next 3 years. From there, I'm going to scale adoption throughout Lilongwe in the next 5 years. And my long-term goals are to scale to 3 more cities in the north and southern of Malawi. I'd like to express my gratitude to my faculty mentor, Dr. Anne Kapczynski, and to the Assistant Director of the CSP program, Sarah Mhaiza, and to Dr. Segai Nega, who is the founder and Managing Director of Healthy Fire, and to Sebru Abebe, the Assistant Director, and most importantly, to the supporters of the CSP program and my amazing classmates for their advice and support throughout my work. Thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to take some questions.